Hello, this is the Aligned Birth podcast. You've got both hosts today. You have Doula Rachel and Dr. Shannon here, and we are the hosts of the Aligned Birth podcast. And I guess, I don't know what we're going to call this episode, but it's kind of a what's to come, what's next for the podcast. We thought we'd hop on and kind of give some updates on where we're at in life and what we're thinking and what we want to do and move forward with. And so this might be our last episode for just a minute as we work towards a few things. And we're excited about that. And so that's what we're going to chat about today is what's next for the Aligned Birth podcast. Welcome to the Aligned Birth podcast. I'm Dr. Shannon, a prenatal chiropractor.
And I'm Rachel, a birth doula and childbirth educator. Together, we're here to bring you conversations about pregnancy, birth, and motherhood. From cesarean to VBAC, hospital to home births, we've experienced it all. We are high school friends who reconnected through our shared passion for health and birth. As moms to two young boys, we've both changed careers after our own transformative childbirth experiences.
Join us as we discuss the importance of a healthy body and mind throughout pregnancy, birth, and into motherhood. Our goal is to provide fun, interesting, and helpful conversations and interviews that inspire learning. When your body, mind, and intuition are aligned, you can conquer anything.
Sit back and relax, or grab a notebook and take some notes, or maybe listen as you enjoy a walk. However you choose to listen, we hope you enjoy this episode of the Aligned Birth podcast. Before we get into the episode today, if you enjoy the content of this podcast, we would greatly appreciate your support in one of three ways. First, leave us a review or give us a 5-star rating. Your feedback helps us reach more listeners and make a bigger impact. Second, you can sign up for our newsletter. By doing so, you'll be the first to receive new episodes and exclusive bonus resources straight to your inbox each week. Lastly, you can become a direct listener supporter. Running this podcast requires significant time, effort, and resources. Your contribution, no matter the amount, helps us continue providing valuable content to a wider audience. Simply use the links in the show notes to make your donation, sign up for our newsletter, or leave us a review. Every contribution matters and is sincerely appreciated. If the Aligned Birth podcast is a part of your weekly routine and you love what we are doing, please consider supporting us through one of these three options. Your support will create a ripple effect, allowing us to reach more listeners and make a lasting difference.
Hello, Rachel.
Hi, Dr. Shannon. I am thrilled to be here again with you today and talking about this very important topic for us. And I'm excited. I don't want it to feel like it's not the end at all. It's an iteration. The podcast, we've been going for 3 years.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. And we have 100
season has been 3 years. Yeah. Our pilot season has been 3 years.
Our pilot season. Wow. I didn't know pilot seasons could last so long and have so many episodes. We have, as of today, probably 171 episodes, I'm guessing, by the time this one goes. It's been so much fun. We've produced, released, did one podcast a week, essentially, for 3 years. And we are now, I think, going to experiment with trying a different structure. So moving towards seasons. And what I'm excited about is just trying something new, something that kind of feels like it aligns with with our energy and our flow and how we want to have time to create, time to promote, and time to rest. We just did a whole episode on rest, paying attention to kind of what feels good, what doesn't, what has resistance, what gives us energy. And I'm so happy that we got to do that episode before kind of releasing this information. So yeah, I'm super stoked for what's next.
You know, this, like, what's next? When did we start this conversation? Like last week.
Yeah.
So that's what's really funny because we hit, summer is typically hard for us to record. And so it's just the ebbs and flows of life. And then it got to the point where it's like, okay, we're going to rebroadcast in here. And then it was like, our schedules weren't meshing up to get to record again. And it just, we're hitting some snag. It kind of not felt exhausting, but it was also like push, 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 push. We needed to listen. We needed to check in. And I'm glad that we kind of had those discussions to say, okay, how are you feeling? Because I'm feeling this. Are you feeling this? If not, then let's talk about what we can do. You know, where can I lean in and where can I not? But I think the key thing was having our communication, and then it just quickly turned into, okay, we're gonna pivot, and so not be done. But it's like this with anything, right? I mean, 3 years, that's crazy. We've made little changes throughout the episodes, or throughout the years too, as far as the recording platforms we used, and just lots of different things that we've done, which has been nice. But I'm really excited because I think it will allow us to be more intentional. And you've already said that, but I'm going to say it again, and like more present with it, because we do have our own businesses while we do this. And here's the kicker too. When we both started talking about this, is we were like, the podcast brings me joy. The podcast will continue. This is something that is so good that we love, but it maybe needs to change what it looks like a little bit. And so, and that way that we can be our best selves and showing up for our families and the things that we want to say yes to, and showing up for our businesses and our people, but then also still showing up for the podcast as well. Because we're not done.
I just appreciated after kind of a hectic summer and we missed a couple recordings, you were so considerate. You reached out and I'm like, hey, where are we at? Let's make sure we're both good. I love the podcast. I want to make sure you're good. Just that consideration and that empathy and that intuition. And I wasn't quite sure what I was feeling, but once I kind of finally sat with it and thought about it, I realized I was having some resistance in just certain things because of the stress of running a business and kids' schedules and other obligations I've taken on, and you have equal number of things going on. So when I finally stopped and took sat with it and just literally let my mind feel and listen to all the ideas, I realized I needed to kind of pivot. Like you said, I love that word, pivot, and try something different. Just try to kind of shake up because we create and we put out episodes constantly. And so what other options do we have for that, to be creative, be super intentional, put out really good stuff, but also respect rest? And because I want to keep loving it. I love it so much. So many of my clients listen and love it. I had someone who wasn't even a client who was in one of my classes, and she was like, you have the podcast. I recognize your voice. And I was like, wait a second, what? And I know you have patients who listen and who have came to you after listening. I think the ripple effect is meaningful, and I love and appreciate you so much in our relationship and what we've been able to do. Definitely do not want it to stop, but kind of thinking about the structure has kind
You're so good at that. And I do love our partnership, because I get stuck into I'll keep going. Okay, this is what we're doing. We say we're going to do this, and we're going to go out every weekend. And I won't necessarily check in with myself, because I'm like that productivity queen. Go listen to the rest episode, because you can hear all my issues there. Here's the other issue. But Rachel's like, let's try this. And you're very creative. Even though you may say that you're not creative. But in the hey, how does this feel? What does this sound like? And I was like, in my mind, I was like, I didn't know that was an option, or that could work, or that we can pivot. So I'm always appreciative of your ability to I don't know. Anything
Well, I
new or
didn't
fun that
even
we do is
know.
always Rachel. I'm
I
like, oh,
think
this is exciting.
it was like, it was again, sitting with it and being
Yeah.
open to letting for the first time, my mind receive alternative ideas of what we could do with the podcast. And then I shared it like with you, very like, this isn't a final thought, just a working thought. And then you ran with it and had other ideas, and we just sort of like went from there, and it
Yeah,
just felt
back
like
and
it
forth.
clicked without like, none of it was really fully like planned out. Which I love that we're able to do that and feed off each other with our ideas and our, I think we both appreciate and respect like energy and balance, knowing that there's never a perfect flow, but the aiming for flow.
And that's why we wanted to talk about this, because I mean, we don't necessarily have to come on here and do a whole episode and tell you guys that we're gonna like, oh, we're gonna do this, but I think the whole point of it is I want people to hear the brainstorming thing, but I want to like, this is to show that you can pivot and you can sit with things and you can listen to yourself and you can come up with a new way of doing things, and it may or may not work. You're not going to know unless you just try. So it's kind of like we're putting this episode out before we've even done anything moving forward. And really all that we're doing is just doing seasons. We're still doing the episodes. We're still creating the content. It's just a matter of when we're creating it. And so I think it's important to show that, and a little bit of that skill of like the thinking outside the box a bit, and the collaboration, the communication that goes along with it.
Yeah.
Excited.
Yeah. So what we're going to try to do, we're going to kind of break the year up kind of into 4-month intervals. So using the rest of the year as our creation time. So we're going to spend from now, by the time this comes out, it'll be September. So September through December we're going to be doing our interviews, doing our conversations, kind of intentionally picking roughly 16 episodes that will hopefully kind of track along with like the trimesters of pregnancy, doing like 4 trimesters of pregnancy, first 4 being, first trimester, second trimester, third, and then fourth trimester, and having those topics be aligned, and then weaving our awesome interviews with different professionals in, really, really intentionally choosing the topics that we feel like have the biggest impact, and then getting all of those created, edited, ready to go. And then come January, we will get to kind of launch launch the season. And this will technically have to be season 1 because that's just how the platforms work, which is comical. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be like season 1, and then each week there'll be an episode, same kind of format delivery as before, but then it'll come the end of the podcast will go into its rest phase. So we'll be in like promotion launch phase where we're releasing new stuff. And then come, I guess, end of April, beginning of May, the podcast will wrap. And then we get to go into our rest phase, which is going to hopefully be like summertime, kind of May, June, July, August, summertime, and then start of school, so that we're not really in creation mode and we're not in release mode. We get to kind of, and then I think that's where ideas get to come from. I'm hoping that will allow us time to sort of receive new ideas, and then come, August, September, we start creating again. That's the idea.
Yeah, that's the idea. We'll ebb and flow with it. We'll see how it feels, but I like the idea. I think it's, I don't know. I think it works with where we're at in life and business and home and school and everything. So I'm excited to see, I don't know, where it goes, where it takes us.
Yeah. And we are kind of still working ideas. So, if you have any topic ideas or like things that you want us to for sure cover, or, if you want to share your feedback, we would love if you sent us an email. You can send that to alignedbirthpodcast@gmail.com. We, again, work in progress here.
Yeah. We have a little bit of an outline started, like you had said, like that first little bit we want to do with the trimesters of pregnancy. And you mentioned too, like, I still want to incorporate like the interviews because that is something that I really like as well. And we'll probably have like solo episodes. Like it'll all kind of be the same. It's just not going to be as like all the time. But I know we did this because we had the issues with scheduling and trying to get things on the book because I guess we each individually said like yes to things that we really wanted. And so it's not that the podcast has to give, but it was like I'd said, like pivot. And so it was a way to kind of maintain that as well too, because I know I have a high schooler now, I have a middle schooler now. Things are a little bit different there. The business is, a bit older and busier. And so, life just happens. So we wanted to still say yes to the podcast, but it looks different. So
we'll try it out and maybe we'll come back to this format or another version of it.
Yeah.
But I'm stoked. I think this is going to be good.
I think it'll be good. And there's other things too. Like, so we're still going to meet up because we try to meet up outside of recording as well. And I still want to do, we still have a list of other things like and growth areas that we've wanted to grow in. And I think we haven't really been able to put any energy towards that because the constant like creation and posting puts energy in a different space. So I'm excited for what that other aspect can open up for growth within the podcast.
Yeah, I think that's really cool to mention too, because this might feel like this is pulling back when really we're going to I think the workload will be similar for us. It's just what we're delivering, I'm hopeful will be even better than what we've done before, and working alongside someone who can help us grow so we reach more people. So really it might feel like and sound like it's pulling back, but it's, I think, just leaning in a different way. And then and I'm hopeful it will result in more abundance and more people listening and more quality episodes. Like that's my hope for it.
Yeah, and space for us to put the content out in different manners and forms. Because I know we've mentioned things before, like I wanted to have this book and all these little things with it, but it's like you can't get it done in the energy and space that we were in. So it's I think it's a good shift, my friend.
I do. I believe
excited.
in it.
Me
too.
And I've done some interviews on other podcasts as well too. So we have and we'll still do that and incorporate those into, our episodes and shows. I'm excited about what our topics are going to be though, and how that
curating
that will flow. Yeah.
The top 16. When in a year we have like 50, 52.
Yeah. It's going to be the American Idol of.
Yeah. But I also like the idea of focusing on what I think we enjoy talking about most and what we think is most helpful versus feeling like, spread thin on, well, what are we going to talk about? And
that was always a difficult point for us too, of like, and not that we don't have things to talk about, but it's like, can we talk about this in a different way? Have we done this episode? And this gives us, a chance to.
It'll be like a really solid. And I'm hopeful when we talk about things that we enjoy talking about and teaching about and sharing about, that it'll come across as sincere, and not that it doesn't, but like, I don't know, it'll feel like just purely authentic.
Yeah. Because it always it's I know it'll come from us a bit differently. So
maybe, I don't know. We haven't done it this way, so I'm guessing.
But it did make me sit down and have to like think of my calendar for the rest of the year. And whenever I do that, I'm like, oh my gosh,
the rest of the year.
Yeah, I was in the office yesterday, and I was like, it's almost December, guys. I was like, that's what it felt like when I was like, I had to like put my schedule out and stuff, and I was like, okay, when are we working here and stuff? And I was like,
and I'm pretty sure once October.
It is. And every year I'm like, no, it's going to be different.
And it's not.
It's not, but
Well, I know, and hear us, again, hold it loosely, because I think the end of the year has its own element of busyness and demands. And so we're here trying to we want to have everything done by the end of the year. So that's a big expectation too. And if that feels like it's too much, then we'll adjust.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely adjust because we just have to be very intentional with it. So yeah.
Here's to being
Planning ahead.
intentional. Here's to good rest. Here's to allowing space to create,
Yeah.
and to
Learn
evolution.
from this. Exactly. We're planning for postpartum. We've been in it for a minute and we're ebbing and flowing with it. So yeah. Let's see. Any other thoughts or things that you want to mention about what's next? I feel like that was most of what we wanted.
I just want people to stay tuned and reach out with topic ideas.
Yeah, exactly. I know we're doing our Instagram thing, so putting our stuff out. But yeah, so thanks for listening to episode 170 something of the pilot season of the Aligned Birth podcast.
Can't wait to begin season 1.
Season 1.
That's not
is
fair.
gonna start soon.
Season 1 will begin January 2025.
Yes, even though this podcast started 3 years ago.
All those episodes will still be there.
Oh yeah, everything's living there. Everything's staying. We're excited to have you guys on this journey with us. So stay tuned. Thank you for joining us on the Aligned Birth podcast. We hope you found our discussions informative, inspiring, and enjoyable. Remember, when your body, mind, and intuition are aligned, you have the power to overcome any challenge that comes your way. We appreciate your support and leaving a review or rating, signing up for our newsletter, or becoming a direct listener supporter. Your contribution helps us continue delivering valuable content and reaching more listeners like yourself. Stay connected with us through our newsletter to receive the latest episodes and bonuses straight to your inbox each week. You can also connect with us on Instagram at aligned_birth. All links can be found in the show notes. Together, we can make a difference in the lives of the birthing individuals and new moms. Thank you for being a part of our community. We look forward to sharing more empowering conversations on the Aligned Birth podcast. Until next time.